1. So this is more of a "this isn't your child" situation. For the record, I am female. I have a lot of tattoos, full sleeves, leg tattoos and neck, and piercings. No children of my own, and don't typically look like a go to the park with a kid type of person. This was also a few years ago, so the dialogue is to the best of my memory, and my niece is older now. I have a niece that is 5, and I take her to the park or take her out to spend time with her about twice a week. I enjoy spending time with her, and most of the time we go to the park to hang out and play around. The last time we went to the park we were playing, and along the way she made a friend. Her and her Insta-friend went off and started playing. I went to sit on one of the benches to watch over her and relax for a bit. The next thing I know, a woman approaches the 2 kids, the mother of my niece's new friend, and starts taking both of them to her minivan. I immediately run over and tell my niece that she can't get into the van. The following conversation goes like this. I will be me, she will be CM, crazy mother, and PD will be the officer. Olivia, don't get in there. Come with me, we need to get going. Who are you? This little girl told me her mother wasn't here. Her mother isn't here, I'm her aunt. Apparently CM asked my niece if her parents were there, and my niece being 5 said that they weren't. So CM thought she was alone. She was also blocking my niece from coming to me when I called her over. How do I know that? You could be anyone. But she just called me by name. That is my niece, and you need to let her go. You don't look like a mother. I won't let a child run to just anyone. If you don't let her go right now, I will press charges. She's terrified. And she was. My niece was crying and trying to get to me, and this woman had held her by the arm in a death grip. I was pissed and scared for her because she doesn't know what's happening. I was trying to calm my niece down and told her that everything was going to be okay, while also trying to get this woman off my niece. I was very close to just knocking this woman out, but at this point, I'm already on the phone with the police with my free hand and have given them her plate number and where we were. After a lot of back and forth, the police arrive. What is going on here? This lady is trying to take this girl. That is my niece, and she is trying to get her into her van. I don't know who the fuck this woman is. If you are her aunt, can you corroborate that? I need some proof that you are who you say you are. I have a ton of pictures on my phone of us hanging out. Will that prove it? I proceed to show him a bunch of pictures of us at the park, ice cream shop, Christmas pictures, etc. And I give him my brother's number to call, which he did call, and asked my brother to come and provide a statement. After an hour, we were able to leave. The officer asked if my brother wanted to press charges, and he did. The CW threw a huge fit as we were leaving, and saying that it wasn't right for us to leave, and that she wasn't wrong for trying to take a child. 2. This happened years ago when I was in my young 20s. Bit of backstory first. I didn't have much money and had a Rover 600. It was a couple years old. Rover is far from the best car on the road, but I liked it and had fitted a massive sound system in it. Plus, it was starting to look like I had crashed into Halfords, with a spoiler, lower suspension, and alloys along with red Viper strips over it. Being a Rover, it was not the most reliable car I ever owned, but it got me from A to B okay. Was in the local garage every few months with something that had gone wrong with it. As you would expect, a couple of the lads that worked in there were my age, and were into car modding, etc. So we became quite good friends over the years and got on well with the manager too, as I was allowed to use their ramps on a couple of occasions to do other stuff to my motor. I would quite regularly sit behind the counter having a coffee while they fix the latest issue. This one morning, a 70-plus-year-old walks in and asks how you use the air machine, as he wants to pump up his tires. Now, this is a franchised Ford repair garage, and the air machine he wants help with is in the supermarket petrol station over a busy main road. It's quicker to walk to the actual petrol station office than it is to wait for the traffic lights to go red for you to use the pedestrian crossing to get into this garage. The manager of the garage very politely advises the bloke that it's the petrol station's air machine, not ours, so you need to go in there. He then goes on for 5 minutes getting increasingly agitated, saying that they are both owned by the same people. Yeah, that should have been a red flag right there. Me, after finishing my third coffee, decided sod it. I'll walk over with him and help him. Not like I can go anywhere with 2 wheels off of the car. I walk over the bloke and start to set the machine, i.e. PSI, and took the dust caps off the first wheel to check its PSI when he comes running around, stops me and asks how I'm doing it. Okay, I'll show him so he would know next time. Yeah, bad mistake. I showed him several times how to change the settings on the machine. There's 3 buttons. One to change the pressure reading, it was PSI, and a second one I don't remember, and then a plus and minus button to set the desired pressure. Now, I don't know if he had medical issues or what, but he just can't seem to understand what to do, and is now starting to shout at me really loudly, and we have only managed to do 1 wheel so far. I think fuck it. I shout back at him and say, I came down to help you as a favor. I don't work here and you're shouting at me, go fuck yourself. And walk about 200 meters back over the road and tell the manager about what happened, and sat down. Yeah, think you see what's coming next. 2 minutes later, he comes storming in, screaming and shouting at me, calling me every name under the sun, plus a few I've never heard before. See, you can always learn things from the older gents. Demanding I'm fired on the spot. He asks for the manager, who was standing right by me, and he tries to tell him on more than a dozen occasions that I don't work here and I'm actually a customer. Also explained that the air machine is in the supermarket petrol station and is nothing to do with them, and I had helped out of the goodness of my heart. At this point, all the mechanics have come into the office from the workshops and are standing there listening to the man and manager having it out, asking me what the hell happened. Eventually, the crazy ass walked out saying he would be calling the head office to make a complaint. Did ask the manager a couple times if anyone did complain, but never did. Now, did he call the Ford head office or the supermarket head office? Guess we will never know. 3. I often volunteer for my mom and dad at their works, and my mom's work was having a job fair. She asked me if I wanted to volunteer because I'm finally old enough to get a job, and I said yeah, just because it means no school that day. To clarify, my mom doesn't have any specific work attire. This place is your classic office with a few cubicles and offices. Since I went looking for a job, I dressed up in my Sunday best. The job fair would be on the upper floor of the building, separated in 3 rooms, and all I had to do was show the employers where their tables are and sign them in. Everyone was really nice and they all came in on time. I especially loved the Humane Society employer, they were really nice. In comes these 3 guys working for a big computer company, we'll just call them Company A. They all showed up at different times instead of together, which is odd because all other employers showed up in groups. The first guy I didn't get to talk to, but I had to help the second guy up to their room. As soon as we get into the elevator, this guy starts berating me with questions. Where's the interview rooms we requested? How many tables do we get? How many people are showing up? These aren't questions a volunteer would know the answers to, the program coordinators would know this stuff. Luckily, my mom was one of the people who set the whole thing up, so I knew where the interview rooms were, and I overheard that we were going to have 100 plus people showing up. So I answered as many questions as I could, and I told him if he had any more he can go and ask one of the coordinators. As soon as I got downstairs, I started asking my mom all the questions he asked me to make sure I got everything correct, and she obviously asked me why I wanted to know all of this. I told her Company A wanted to know. She told me she'll handle Company A because apparently they try to get away with this every year. They take all the interview rooms, even the ones they're not allowed to use, and take up more space than they put themselves down for. After my mom explained this to me, I decided to go take a small nap in my mom's office, since my job was done. Her office is right next to the interview rooms, but its door is always closed, so people know they can't use it. I maybe got 5 minutes of sleep when someone started shaking me awake really harshly. I knew it wasn't my mom because she knows how to wake me up without scaring me. I wake up and come face to face with this screaming guy about how unprofessional it was for me to sleep in my office when it was supposed to be for interviews. I told him it wasn't my office, and he continued screaming at me, calling me a liar, because my face was in every photo all over the office. Obviously, my face would be in photos in my mom's office. The dude kept asking for my supervisor, and I didn't know what to do, so I told him I didn't work there and that this office wasn't for interviews, which is why the door was closed. He was doing all of this while there was a guy standing behind him, most likely waiting to be interviewed. I was scared and tired because I don't like people yelling, so all I did was yell for my mom. One of her co-workers heard and ran to get her while this dude just stood there screaming his head off. My mom came in with one of her big guy co-workers and literally kicked the guy out of the building, all while screaming in his face for being a rude person and trespassing. Apparently this guy was from Company A and was throwing a fit beforehand about not having enough interview rooms, and decided to use the rooms they weren't allowed to use. Thank you to that guy, however, because my mom bought me Jamba Juice to calm me down. Needless to say, Company A isn't allowed to come back. 4. So for the last couple of years I've been flying weekly to the Seattle area for work, back home to Houston for the weekends. It makes following up with doctors a challenge. I also had surgery on my rear end a year ago that had complications of pain and infections, so I ended up having 2 additional surgeries for a persistent recurring abscess down there. After the last surgery, emergency in Seattle, I had a follow-up appointment with the surgeon. The surgery consisted of draining the abscess, leaving the drain in for 2 weeks and wearing Depends to work and hoping nothing leaked. Maybe this is TMI, but it's important to the story. So I go to my follow-up and get the drains removed and have her evaluate the progress. I go to the doctor's office midday directly from work. For work, I wear a nice shirt, a tie, slacks, and dress shoes. I also carry a decent-sized leather bag for all my class stuff when I teach. I probably look like a pharmaceutical rep, which is important in a minute. The waiting room is half full, lots of middle-aged and elderly people quietly waiting their turn. So I go and sign in and take a seat, gingerly, cause it's a little sensitive down below. While waiting, I see an elderly lady pacing and obviously annoyed. It becomes clear that Ethel here thinks the wait is too long. Every time someone gets called, she gets a little more visibly annoyed. Now, usually I'd call her a Karen, but she's disheveled and something seems off about her. As a nurse, I've seen plenty of dementia patients and she reminds me of them. Every couple of patients called back before her causes her to approach the front desk and shriek at the receptionist about having waited so long. This saint of a receptionist keeps her cool and explains her appointment is at noon, and it's barely 11. My appointment is at 11:30, and when I hear my name called, I gather my bag to go in, and Ethel loses her shit. She screeches at the front office about how she has to wait while the doctor sees salespeople. I should have just walked by, but I try to rescue the receptionist from more abuse. I say I don't work here. I'm a patient, and my appointment is at 11:30. But Ethel is having none of it. She obviously doesn't believe me and continues railing at the front desk while the lady calling me back looks on wide-eyed. I give up trying to help and step past the mess into the hallway, where the nurse escorts me into exam room 1, all while Ethel looks on in fury. The nurse takes my vitals and history, asks how everything is going, and directs me to undress and put on the gown she provides. I comply with directions and wait for the doc. When she comes in, we discuss my history, my surgery, and how things have been going. Then we get down to business. I lay back, hike my legs up so she has access to the necessary areas, and cut my balls to get them out of the way. She gets to work removing the stitches and removing the drains, asking about drainage and discharge when boom! The door flies open and we hear yelling. I already know. In the doorway stands Ethel, and the only thing between me, her, and the waiting room is the head of my 5'2" Asian surgeon. And then, not even that, because the doc whips around in shock, and Ethel gets a full view of my goat-bald nether region with rubber tubes and drainage. With me lifting my head to look through my legs, I make eye contact with Ethel, who is standing mouth agape and blessedly silent for once. I had the great pleasure of saying, "I told you I don't work here!" 5. Some background. I'm in my 40s and former military, Army. I now work with adults 18 plus with mental or physical disabilities. One of the common parts of my job is escorting clients to the gym who want to work out and try to keep their weight down. A big problem for far too many. In some cases I just need to be there, while in other cases I need to be within arm's reach of the client at all times just in case. The company I work with has a contract for gym use with a local hospital with a positive health program, so almost anyone can get a membership at their gym and get help monitoring weight or whatever, like a lot of big-time gyms. From this point on, the story unfolds quickly. On the day in question, I was there with 2 clients, one of whom is independent and the other whom I have to stay within 5 to 10 feet of. We were lifting free weights, and I was changing the weights over for his lighter load as Karen approaches. Now, I am in black shorts, standard for gym staff, and I'm wearing an old grey army t-shirt with Army Cross on the front in big black letters. Standard issue Army PT shirt. The staff wears grey shirts, but theirs has the hospital's bright colourful logo over the heart, nothing else. As I said, this unfolded quickly. Karen comes storming up to me. "Excuse me, I have an appointment and you need to find my trainer." "Sorry, miss, I don't work here." "Don't give me that crap, you are clearly helping him." "Yes, miss, I'm his personal staff from another company. We're merely utilizing a membership here, just like you." "Don't give me that At this point, my client started making a noise he makes when he's getting frustrated or scared. And her rising voice could easily do that to him, so I turned my head to look at him and talk to him. "Don't you ignore me!" Pow! She actually slapped me in the face, catching me in the nose as I had turned to look at my client, and hard enough to slap my face around to be looking in almost the opposite direction, from looking over my right shoulder to almost looking over my left. Important point here. I had been holding a 45-pound weight in front of me in both hands, and with the shock of the slap, my grip slipped. There was no bouncy boing of a weight dropped on the rubber floor mats either, just a sickening crunch. I didn't feel anything, which worried me, until I saw the look of not being able to breathe on her face. It had landed just across the base of her toes on her top, bright, sparkly, polished gym shoes. My guy starts laughing his butt off. I move him aside, leaving her there, and call for a nurse. That there had been an accident, but it was not needed. There were a good half-dozen medical staff, including 2 doctors in the gym at the time, so I just walked my guy away to minimize his stimulus and let them handle it. Keeping it short, several bones in her foot were broken. She wanted me fired, and then when learning I did not in fact work there, wanted to sue me in the hospital and gym. I did indeed file charges for assault, and she not only lost grounds for her lawsuit, but lost her membership because she assaulted another client, and got handed a hefty hospital bill for her foot. Hope you all enjoyed. I'm just glad to be in the clear and that there were so many witnesses. My guy still retells this story every chance he gets. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Idiots in the Wild, number 11. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. It's been a little while since I did one of these. Okay, this video will go up, I think it'll either be Tuesday or Thursday, which means I should, if all goes according to plan, I'll be getting ready, I'll just be finishing up to get ready to start to take my break, or I should be in full-on toe wiggling mode because I will be relaxing. I'm not sure if I'm doing any streaming or anything while I'm off. I may, you never know, and I'll probably pop into the Discord here and there while I'm gone. So if I'm needed, I can be contacted if it's an emergency, of course. But apart from that, I'm going to be relaxy freezer. Nothing actually planned. I intend to, well, since I'm going to be off every day, work out every day, but probably undo all that work by eating snacks and watching movies and TV shows. I'm behind on a lot of things, so it'd be nice to catch up. Got a load of Elementary on Amazon Prime to watch, so with Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu and Natalie Dormer. Anyway, anything else before I go? Oh yeah, actually, yeah. Right, I drink a lot of Volvic, right, with a touch of fruit one, because it's quite good now, because I can't drink the sugar-free version, because that irritates my throat. But I can drink the regular one, because technically, it says low sugar on it now, but that's the regular one. But it doesn't use artificial sweeteners, it uses sugar and stevia. So I can drink that now. So I drink a lot of it, and I go through quite a bit a month. I can go through about a bottle a day at least, sometimes more if it's really hot. So I've actually found it's much cheaper, instead of buying it from the shops, I just get it delivered once a month. So I do that on Amazon, and the price goes up and down, so sometimes it's cheaper than others, but that's what I've been doing. And I was No, I was working the other day, actually. Yes, I'm trying to remember what it was. I was working. I think it was just about to go to bed, actually. And I heard a knock at the door, so I thought, oh, that's much earlier than usual, so I'll just go and open the door. And I'll get my delivery, and that's great. I don't have to worry about it arriving later. Didn't waste any time. I walk downstairs, I just shout, okay, I'll be right with you. Quickly throw on, presentable clothing. And not that I was naked, I just wasn't presentable. Just throw on a t-shirt and the like. And I open the door, and nothing at all. Gates closed, it's like there's no one ever been in. I'm very confused, because I was sure I heard the door. So this guy's obviously just knocked on the door and then immediately walked away, because I heard a voice at my neighbour's house. And then I saw a guy walk into a van. I thought, is that him? So, okay, did you just knock on my door? And he said, oh, aye. Then he said the number of their house, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm standing on the pathway with no bloody shoes on. Do you think I just happened to stroll by? I didn't say that to him, because he was a relatively pleasant man, but still, sometimes the obvious answer is the correct one. Usually the obvious answer is the correct one. Anyway, I got that, and that'll be me to next month. Okay, and with that, I've got a lot of work to do, so I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.